Hey everyone, it's Epoch here, and welcome to my entry into this week's comic book cover challenge set by Alan at Comic Collector Geek. This week's theme was Batman covers, so that's any cover featuring Batman, whether it be his own titles or in other people's titles. That's how I took to mean it anyway. So, Batman covers. So, let's take a look at 10 covers from my collection featuring Batman that I think are pretty cool. First up is Green Arrow and the Black Canary, number 10. I just thought this was a fun and interesting one as you have the kind of Batman often teams up with different characters, as we saw in Brave and the Bold, and I just thought this was a cool one to show that team up dynamic of Green Arrow and Black Canary, and then Batman kind of leaping forward into action. So that's Green Arrow and Black Canary, number 10. My next pick this week is Batman number 330. I just thought this was quite a funny one. You often have that kind of trope of the woman sort of coming between Batman and Robin. In this case, it's Talia al Ghul. And it's just really funny. The dialogue on the cover is quite funny where he says that woman's destroying you, Batman, and you won't admit it. Either she goes or I do. And Batman goes, "The door is that way, chum. Goodbye." And I just thought it was a really funny one. I just really think this is a fun cover. So that's Batman number 330. My next pick this week is Harley Quinn number 58 from her third volume. I just think this is a really interesting one as we have Batman here in that sort of classic iconic pose as he's swinging down to take on trouble in Gotham City. We also have Harley Quinn here, who's sort of a Robin substitute on this cover in her makeshift sort of half Harley Quinn, half Robin costume. I just think this one's quite funny because Harley Quinn's really kind of enthusiastic about helping Batman, but Batman isn't so much. You know, his face is quite stoic. It reminds me of that meme that used to have like 12 Batman faces, and each one they were kind of straight and deadpan, and under each one had a different emotion. And I think even though his face is quite deadpan in here, you can tell he's quite annoyed that he has Harley Quinn to tag along with him. So I just thought that was kind of a fun one. So that's Harley Quinn number 58. Next up this week is Batman number 44 from the new 52 run. I just think this is quite an interesting one as we have Bruce Wayne here in his wedding gear. This is from the run up to his wedding to Catwoman, but he's looking into the mirror at himself, sort of dressed to the nines for his wedding, but all he can see is the reflection of Batman, almost as if to say that Batman is the true self and Bruce Wayne is secondary. So I just thought that was a really interesting one, although it's quite a simple cover. You can sort of take a lot from it. So that's Batman number 44. My next pick this week is Archie Meets Batman number 1. I just think this is a cool and exciting cover. I was a huge fan of the 60s Batman TV series as a kid. We used to get it in reruns on Channel 4 when I was a lot younger, and I have it on Blu-ray now as well. I just think it's such a fun series and almost probably comic accurate to the time that the comics were being produced. There's that more kind of 60s Silver Age Batman rather than the kind of the dark Batman that sort of emerged from the Bronze Age. So I think this cover really encapsulates that series really well. We have a kind of Batman and Robin sort of crashing through the windows here, interrupting the concert that the Archies are putting on. But I just think it really captures that dynamic of the show. So that's Archie Meets Batman number 1. Next up, we have Batman number 435. I've just always really loved this cover. I really like the use of shadows in it. We have this kind of no good crook here about to murder this guy dressed as Batman, cosplaying as Batman, if you will. But the shadows that are drawn on the cover in the back, we have the real Batman kind of opening the window and coming down to stop the crime that's going on. And Batman is completely in shadow, which is quite true of Batman himself as he operates in the shadows. He's the Dark Knight, the people that fear fear him in the dark kind of thing. So I just thought this was a really good way of showing that with the Batman completely silhouetted in shadow. I think it was Giordano who inked this. I'm not entirely sure, but he's always been good at really spotting the blacks very well, and the blacks are well spotted in this cover. So that's Batman number 435. My next pick this week is a Huntress number 18. I've just always really loved this cover. I know it's not exactly the most exciting cover in terms of the actions that Batman's performing on the cover. He's just kind of standing there looking very stoic and strong, ready for action as they move forward into the sewers. It's just I just think it's a really well composed cover. I'm not entirely sure who the artist is. I'd need to go back and double check, but I just love the way that Batman's been drawn on this cover. I just think it's really cool. And we've got that kind of classic trope as well of the cape over Batman's shoulder as well. You see that a lot in some of his iconic images. So yeah, the Huntress number 18. The next comic I've chosen this week is Batman number 51 from the new 52 era. I just think this is quite a striking image of Batman. We have him here in shadow with his cape sort of surrounding Gotham City, the place that he's vowed to protect. I just think that's a cool way of showing that in the darkness of Batman and his shadow. Overcovering the light of Gotham City as he vows to protect it. So that's Batman number 51. Next up this week is the Huntress number 2 from our 1994 miniseries. All of the covers in this miniseries connect to make kind of one giant cover, but on issue 2 we have Batman as the main focus. We have him kind of jumping out of the shadows, jumping down into action, and I just think that's such a classic and iconic image of Batman, leaping into battle, ready to protect those who need his help. This kind of image here of him jumping off the rooftop in shadow. His face is all in shadow as well to strike fear into the hearts of the people he's about to stop, and that kind of classic image of the cape sort of billowing in the wind behind him. So that's Huntress number 2 from our 1994 miniseries. And my last pick this week goes to Brave and the Bold number 92. I've just always thought this was a really exciting and kind of fun cover. I like the way it's composed and I like the humour of it. We have sort of that kind of 1970s look of the sort of revival of 70s horror comic books, as sort of Batman makes his way through the fog with the flashlight. Is there some kind of killer and strangler on the loose? And he says, what does he say? He says, "Stay close, Margot, you're safe with me." But little does he know that Margot in the background here has been grabbed by the strangler and is going to take her out. So Batman needs to discover that quickly and get to action. But I just think this is a really kind of well drawn, well composed, humorous yet dark cover. So that's Batman, or not Batman even, it's Brave and the Bold number 92. So that was my entry into this week's comic book cover challenge set by Alan at Comic Collector Geek. This week's theme was Batman covers. If you'd like to take part as well, then feel free to make a video showing off 10 covers featuring Batman from your collection that you think are pretty cool, and use the hashtags Friday Comic Challenge and hashtag Batman covers, and that way everyone in the community can take a look and see the different covers that we all have. You never know, maybe you might see something that you want to pick up for your own personal collection. If you'd like to check out some of my previous entries into the comic book cover challenge, then please click on this playlist that's linked here, and otherwise I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.